We forget the second half of the great things people of faith have done. They experienced mockings and scourgings, chains, imprisonment. They were stoned. They were sawn in two. They were tempted. They were put to death with the sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, ill-treated, men of the world, men of whom the world was not worthy, wandering in deserts and mountains and caves and holes in the ground. Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Deeper. The clip you just saw was from my lesson from Sunday night, and I want to take that idea and dive a little bit more into it for those of you who are watching. It was a hard sermon to preach. Not a fun one. I would love to sit and talk all day about the rewards that we have in heaven. I would love to be able to tell you that because you're a Christian, everything will be great in your life. As we saw last night, as you saw in the clip, that's not the case. Suffering happens because of our faith. Poverty can happen because of our faith. Take a look at Jeremiah chapter 37. In this chapter, in this passage of Scripture, Jeremiah is doing nothing wrong. He's leaving to go check on one of his fields, the field that he purchased to show that the people would return from Babylonian captivity. And even though he's doing the right thing, he gets thrown in prison because of who he is. He gets accused of deserting to the Babylonians. Look at chapter 37, verse 16. Jeremiah was put into a vaulted cell in a dungeon. There he remained a long time. Then King Zedekiah sent for him and had him brought to the palace. When he asked him privately, "Is there any word from the Lord?" Jeremiah replied, "Yes, you will be delivered into the hands of the king of Babylon." In the next chapter, Jeremiah is eventually, in this chapter, he's released from prison. But then again, in the next chapter, he's thrown into a well. They've attempted to kill him in the book of Jeremiah. There are other prophets they have killed. He's tortured. He's suffered. He goes through hardship. He is in the middle of a siege. A siege that is so bad they run out of food. He gets thrown into a cistern. He gets thrown into a well, and there's mud in the bottom because the water's gone from the city. He went through this because of his faith. Take a look at John chapter 15, verses 18 and following. This is the words of Jesus Christ. If the world hates you, you know that it has hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own, but because you are not of the world, but I choose you out of the world, because of this, the world hates you. Jesus is telling his disciples, look, people will mistreat you. People will say mean and awful, terrible things about you. They will be mean. They will be rude. There will be persecution. There will be mocking. The apostles didn't even go on to be, most of them would go on to be killed and murdered. All because of their faith. Remember the word that I said to you, a slave is no greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they kept my word, they will keep yours also. Jesus is saying, look, I'm about to die. I'm about to be persecuted. I have been persecuted. You will face persecution too. We suffer in this life at times because of our faith. We talked last night about the idea of I have enough faith that I won't get COVID. And we looked at Job, we looked at Jesus, at words of Jesus in Luke 13 and 14. We looked at Hebrews 11, and now we're looking at Jeremiah. Now we're looking at more words of Jesus. And that's just not the case. We suffer just like the rest of the world, and sometimes, a lot of time, we may even suffer more. Because as Jesus said, we are completely different from the world. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13 is the phrase that we put on our arms. We tattoo it on ourselves. We put it on the eye black under our eyes when we play sports. We take it out of context. Look at verse 10. He says, I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at last you have revived your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned before, but you lacked opportunity. Not that I speak from want, for I learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. I have learned to be content. I know how to get along with humble beings. How does he know this? Because Paul faced it. And I also know how to live in prosperity. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need. Paul says, I know how to starve and make it. I know how to have plenty of food and make it. I know how to have abundance and make it. I know how to suffer and make it. And he says, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Paul says, I make it because of Jesus. I make it through the sufferings because of Jesus. Jesus doesn't take the sufferings away, but they are there, and we make it through them because of him. And oftentimes that means that we do not get the desired outcome. We still suffer. We still perish. And as I said in the sermon last night, faith makes this suffering worth it, because we know we have a reward in the end.